Hold on, wait a minute. New idea. Let's see if this works. That's one heavy mother. Okay, good thing I remembered to check the winch instructions. I got to install this ground wire on this peg. It probably would have been a little bit more difficult if I installed the bumper first. Okay, got it in. I had to deflate the tires by an inch, and it settled right into the right spot. And I was able to get the first few screws started. So what I'm gonna do is bolt this on, put the grill on. I think that's it. Oh, and the skid plate, and then I'll wire everything tomorrow. See you guys in the morning. Ran into one more trouble last night while I was wrapping everything up. The hood won't lock, so I had to forego, unfortunately, the road trip we're gonna do today, but can't drive with the unlocked hood just in case it flies up on you. The secondary latch catches, but it won't close. The only thing I can think of that is causing this is something to do possibly with the Bodyguard bumper's ACC adapter, because that actually had me unscrew the latch. So I'm going to try to adjust it and see if that helps. There's really only a few things it could be. These bump stops could be adjusted too high or too low, but it was fine before and I didn't touch those. So could be a secondary spring issue or the smaller spring issue. Cable seems to work from the cab to unlock the thing, but it's not engaging, so maybe the height of the latch is the problem. It looks like it was a combination of lifting up the latch and reducing the height of the stoppers. At least I figured it out. I'm gonna put the Fab 4 skid plate on. I have to remove these two transfer case bolts, but they're on so tight I couldn't use a ratchet. I don't have an impact wrench, not a true one anyway, so I was using my torque wrench with an adapter. Have you ever done this before? I torqued the end right off the ratchet. So I sprayed it with WD-40. Hopefully it's gonna loosen up enough that I'll be able to take it off. Got some penetrating oil and a breaker bar, and those bolts came off no problem. So the new skid plate is being held in by the two bolts that used to hold the skid plate bracket, and this is where it would hold up the intercooler, and the two transfer case bolts and one of the old skid plate bolts. So I'm just going to put in some Loctite, give the next person a hard time, which will probably be me. Even though it's rare to be the only person in the world to be anything, I think I might be the only person in the world that got Loctite on the face. This is the supplied wiring harness from the Squadron lights. I don't need the switch. I don't need the connection to the battery with the fuse. That's all taken care of with the upfitter switches. So I'm just gonna splice off the 2 extensions, these suckers, and wire them. Good thing when I did the rock lights, I put this fast connector on. So I'm gonna reuse switch 3 for the bumper lights, and then I'll do switch 4 for the rear bumper lights, and I'll move the rock lights all the way to switch 6 or 7, one of the last ones. So I'll wire that up right now and see how it goes. I also ran the Winch power lines through the back of the bumper and up through the engine bay. They come out here. Length is perfect to the negative terminal and the positive one. And then I have some issues, super tight, though even the wires are pushing against the grill. And then the wiring for this is an issue because there's not enough space to put this connector in behind it. So I either have to bend this piece, or I'm going to test it, see if I can do it upside down or something, because that'll make it fit. See that nut that's supposed to be on there? Dropped in there somewhere. And I dropped the marker cap in there too. Oh man. This is a very thick, stiff cable. Not very pretty, but I cut out a notch of this protective cover to accommodate the Winch power cable. Okay, let me tell you what should happen. I should turn on the engine. Well, I won't even crank it over. I'll just turn on the auxiliary. The 3 LED lights should come on. I should be able to flick this on with auxiliary 3, and then the rock lights with auxiliary 6. Let's hope this works. Close. Forgot to wire up the fog lights. So it's finally complete. Definitely not a straightforward installation, and the mixture of not really knowing what I was doing, like referring back to the instruction manuals, as well as trying to make videos. I made a few missteps, specifically forgetting to unscrew the top of the grill before pulling it, which made a crack. Not a huge deal. Some things didn't work as planned. The JCR camera mount, there's not enough space between the brush guard and the mount to put the cable for the video, but I'm talking to JCR to see if I could source a right angle connection. Funny enough, the stock connector works, but it's not long enough to reach the other connection. This was pretty straightforward. This was pretty straightforward. The lights were pretty straightforward. These were surprisingly straightforward. Most of the extra time was taken because I didn't have the exact right tools. I misplaced something or forgot where I put it. Trying to do things by myself, which normally would require more than one person. And the biggest thing is coming into problems like the frozen bolt on the transfer case, not knowing that the hood latch was not correctly adjusted, things like that. Otherwise, this has been a pretty comprehensive build for me anyway. Took way longer than I hoped for, but that's not the end of it. There's still a few more things to put onto the Bronco. The rear air compressor, all that stuff. Oh yeah, also did the Bodyguard bumpers ACC relocation bracket. I don't know if it works yet. Put a comment below to let me know you really want to know, and maybe I'll make a follow-up video. But that was a bit of a hassle too because of the wiring and stuff. One other thing is I'm really missing the parking sensors, mainly because I get a warning every time I start the car, even though I turn the sensors off in the software. Here's all the things I took off. The lower automated shutter shroud. These were the old body mount arms that held the intercooler in place as well. Some plastic pieces in the back of the wheel well, which interestingly enough I replaced with the JKS parts, but the JKS parts don't seem to fit right, so I'm in contact with them as well. This is the stock skid plate attachment point, as well as it held up the intercooler. And then these spacers came with the JKS kit, which I should have used but I didn't, thinking that they added too much space, but we'll see if I need them. I guess if the intercooler rattles around, that's probably a good sign I do need them. Also, there's a few pieces I ended up with at the end, which I don't know what they're for. There's this one, I think I might have one more of these. I'm not sure where that came from. And I have 2 extra of these, which I don't know where these came from either. So we'll see. Hopefully they're not too important. Other than that, it's pretty good. I like the way it turned out. The color of the bumper is very black. If it was just a tinge more gray, that would have helped it blend in a little bit better with the fenders and stuff. But other than that, I'm happy with how it went, and yeah, stay tuned for more. Have a great weekend, everyone.